need to get this off my chest. Almost every single week, buyers looking for an entry point in Burlington, they ask me,
Roshan, what's the best neighborhood in Burlington to start?
and I respect their motivation as a stepping stone to their next property. And every time I think they are asking me the wrong question. Because what's the best neighborhood and how easy will this home be able to sell 5 or 10 years from now are two completely different questions. And here's the reality. The biggest resale mistakes usually aren't made when you sell. They are made the day you buy. And where? If buying cheap is your main goal, they are cheap for a reason. And they will sell cheap also when it's time to sell. A neighborhood can have a beautiful parks, great schools, friendly neighbors, and still have characteristics that make resale much more challenging than the buyers realize. And it's too late to go back. So today, I want to show you these 3 Burlington neighborhoods that could cost you at resale. Before we start, you are going to see this report card throughout the video. Every neighborhood gets evaluated exactly the same way. First, I look at what's happening in the market. Then I look at the location. And finally, I score the resale characteristics that I believe matter most over the long run. You don't need to memorize any of this. Simply pause this video and take a look at them. I'll go ahead and explain each section as we go throughout this video. So let's start with this neighborhood, Mountainside. Take a look at this location map. This is probably one of the Burlington's most misunderstood neighborhoods. Some buyers won't even consider. Budget hunters think it's one of the best values left in Burlington. Personally, I think both opinions miss the point because in Mountainside, the neighborhood isn't the story. The house is. Now let's start with the numbers. As of June 30th, 2026, the average home price here was about $850,000, and relative to the whole of Burlington average price of $1.13 million, it is much more affordable. The annual turnover here is about 61 homes and taking around 26 days to sell. And sellers are still achieving approximately 99% of their asking price, which means buyers are willing to pay almost full price. And for buyers, there's not much negotiation here. The neighborhood is made up of primarily detached homes. The last 6 months sales showed 67% of sales were detached housing and another 28% sales were townhomes. So if you are only looking at today's number, you might ask,
Roshan, so what's the problem?
Honestly, there isn't one. The market is functioning. Homes are selling. Buyers are also buying here. Now, let's look at the bigger picture. Over the last decade, the average home price here has also increased approximately $473,000 back in 2016 to roughly $832,000 today. And detached homes here have gone from approximately $575,000 10 years ago to around $981,000. So clearly, people have made money owning real estate here. That's important. This video isn't about whether Mountainside appreciates. It does. The question is, what would it cost you at resale? Now, let's look at the location drivers. The highest Fraser rated school serving the Mountainside neighborhood scores around 6.7. There are 3 major parks here, and the Applebee Go is only about maybe 7 minutes away. The walkability, well, I would describe it as fair. Again, nothing there concerns me. Now, which brings me to the resale score. This is where the conversation changes. The reason I score functional layout lower here isn't that I dislike older homes mix here. I actually own an older home myself. The issue is that many of these homes were built in the 1960s and 70s. I mean, they are raised ranches, side splits, the original bungalows, the smaller bedrooms, one bathroom, closed off kitchen kind of things. And the layout that doesn't really match what today's buyers expect. Here's the question I'd ask you. Would you rather buy the beautifully renovated bungalow or save $150,000 by buying the original one just right next door? Most buyers immediately say, I like to save the money. Fair enough. But have you priced renovations lately? I mean, a new kitchen, bathrooms, floorings, electricals, new windows, even think about waterproofing, the risk. I'm sure you've read stories of Burlington floodings and store backups. It happens here often. Suddenly, that bargaining isn't such a bargaining anymore. I've seen buyers spend well over $200,000 trying to make some of these homes work for today's lifestyle. That's why I scored buyer's demand right in the middle here. The affordability keeps buyers coming. There will always be someone looking for an entry point into Burlington, but affordability alone doesn't eliminate the buyer objections down the road. And that's what resale is really about. The fewer objections, the larger your buyer pool. The more objections, the harder buyers negotiate. So, would I buy in Mountainside? Maybe, but I would buy the house, not the price. I'd rather pay a little more for a beautifully renovated home on a quiet interior street than save money and buy in the original bungalow, perhaps even more worse backing onto busy road. Because when it's time to sell, the next buyer is going to ask exactly the same questions you should be asking today. And that's what could cost you at resale. Alright, let's move over to Plains. This neighborhood teaches a completely different resale lesson. In Mountainside, I told you the house matters more than the neighborhood. In Plains, the street matters more than the neighborhood. Let's look at the numbers first. The average home price sits at approximately $671,000. There were 57 sales over the past year. Homes are taking about 34 days to sell, with sellers averaging around 97% of their asking price. The housing mix immediately tells me this neighborhood is different. Only 19% of homes are in fact detached homes. 38% are townhomes, and another 31% are condo apartments. Now, let's zoom out. Over the last 10 years, the average home prices has increased from approximately $467,000 to around $671,000. Detached homes have increased from roughly $678,000 to about $826,000. Again, real estate has appreciated, so this isn't a neighborhood that hasn't grown. The question is, what could cost you at the resale? Let's look at the location factors here. The highest pressure rated serving the area scores 6.3. There is only one major park, and the drive to Alderson goes is roughly less than 5 minutes. Walkability, it's actually really good here. And honestly, this is where many buyers stop. They see some convenience here. The GO train is right there. The shopping, highway access, very easy. Even the Drury Lane pedestrian bridge now gives you access directly to Walmart and the surrounding retail if you lived in that side of the pocket. Everything looks fantastic, but here is what concerns me. Not every street in Plains tells the same resale story. Some homes back onto commercial uses, others back onto the busy roads, others are close to the GO train corridors. Those freight train can shake your home, and there are quiet interior streets where resale performs very differently. So here is a question. If I blindfolded you and dropped you onto two different streets inside the Plains pockets, would you know which one would be easier to sell 10 years from now? Most buyers wouldn't. That's why I scored external influences lower here. Not because the neighborhood is bad, because buyers don't just buy homes, they buy what surrounds them. So would I buy in Plains? Not really if I'm trying to move up in the next 5 years. But I would buy the street, not the postal code, because in my opinion, your backyard, your surroundings, and what buyers see when they pull into the driveway matters just as much as the square footage inside the house. Now let's head over to corporate, or what many people call Uptown Burlington. I actually like this neighborhood. In fact, I recommend it quite often, especially for the first-time home buyers and even young professional and commuters. But it teaches us completely different resale lesson here. Let's look at the numbers first. The average home price is approximately $689,000. There were over 100 sales over the last 12 months, almost double the number of sales we saw in Mountainside. Homes taking around 41 days to sell, with sellers averaging approximately 97% of their asking price. Now, let's look at the housing mix. This tells the story. 50% of homes here are condominiums, 36% townhomes, and about 7 to 8% sales here has been semi-detached homes. Immediately, I know resale behaves differently here. Let's look at the long-term appreciation as well. The average home price here has increased from $367,000 in 2016 to about $689,000 today. Again, excellent appreciation. So why did I include corporate in today's video? Because appreciation and resales are not always the same conversation. Location drivers, excellent. Highest Fraser rated school here is 8.4, solid. Area has 2 parks and it's only about 5 minutes to the Applebee Go. Walkability, I rate it good. So where's the resale challenge? Competition. That's it. A lot of it. When over half the neighborhood consists of condominium apartments, buyers have a ton of options. Sometimes dozens of them are on sale at the same time. Think about it. If 20 similar units hit the market, same building, same floor plan, same square footage, who has the negotiating power? The buyers, right? Unlike detached homes, the semis and the townhomes here also have limitation. They often have less opportunity to add meaningful square footage, and that's also a quick drawback here. You cannot expand the footprint. You cannot create something significantly different from your competition. Townhomes and semis have tighter restrictions as you are handcuffed with what square footage you've got. That doesn't make corporate a bad investment. Far from it. It simply means resale is influenced much more by competing inventory, building management for those condos, and overall market supply. So would I buy in corporate? It depends. But I would buy the development, not just the condo unit, because when it's time to sell, you're just competing with your neighbor. Sometimes you are competing with your entire building. So what's the biggest lesson from today's video? Don't remember Mountainside, don't remember Plains, don't even remember corporate. Remember one thing, why they made this list. Mountainside taught us buy the house, not the price. Plains taught us buy the street, not the postal code. And the corporate taught us buy the development and not just the unit. Those are the resale lessons, because every city has neighborhoods just like this. The biggest resale mistakes usually aren't made when you sell. They are made the day you buy. That's why I spend far more time evaluating the specific property than simply recommending your neighborhood, because 2 homes on the same street can have completely different resale stories. Now, I'm sure some of you disagree with my ratings, and that's fine by me. I'd actually love to hear your opinion. Which Burlington neighborhood do you think has the strongest resale, and which one do you think I got completely wrong? Please leave a comment below. I read every one of them. And if you're thinking about buying in Burlington before you write an offer, I would be happy to walk you through the trade-offs so you understand not only how to buy the right home, but how to make your future resale just a little bit easier. I'm Realtor Roshan, and I'll love to see you on my next video.